Now at Lowe's, faster quotes start at the Lowe's Pro Desk. Got a material list handwritten on a sticky note or saved as a photo? Perfect. Bring it to us and get a quote in minutes. And if you don't see what you need on the shelf, we'll help you get it. You can access thousands of products beyond what's available in-store or on Lowes.com, right from the Lowe's Pro Desk. Build quotes faster and source the materials you need to keep your jobs moving. Just like that, at Lowe's.
Looking for these better days.
It is Thursday, June 4th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. The Knicks improved their playoff winning streak to 12 straight games as they upset the Spurs 105-95 in Game 1 of the NBA Finals last night. David Behrman joins me on this episode of Better Day, presented by FanDuel. You know him from the Betting with Behrman podcast, Betting with Behrman newsletter as well. And you can listen to the Betting with Behrman podcast on the Believe Podcast Network, presented by FanDuel as well. Behrman, I tweeted out last night before the game, you know, Game 1 was about to start, and part of me still didn't believe that the New York Knicks were in the NBA Finals. The game's over. The Knicks, we're recording this, late, Wednesday night after the game, right? Theater of the mind, guys. The Knicks win by double digits. I still can't fathom that this team is 3 wins away from the NBA title.
Not only are they 3 wins away from the NBA title, but they're doing it in so many different ways. They've become a team that you just don't expect to lose on any given night. And I went into this series with some trepidation, thinking, all right, well, the Spurs just beat the Thunder. The Spurs are much better than the Knicks. Yeah, great 11-game win streak, but against crappy opponents. Let's see what happens. And first quarter, I gave it out on the show, and you and I discussed it, on Saturday on your show. Spurs first quarter money line, and it hit. And then the Spurs kept playing in the second quarter, and you got a lead at halftime. Come out in the third quarter, and you get a double-digit lead, and you're like, all right, well, Spurs are going to take Game 1, no problem. They're playing Spurs ball. And what I was going to come on and tell you is the reason why the Knicks weren't going to win Game 1 is they were relying on Jalen Brunson too much, and he was not hitting his shots. He missed, I think, 10 of his first 13 shots and got injured, and the team wasn't playing Knicks basketball. Well, they won the game because they let Jalen Brunson take over the game, and Jalen Brunson started hitting shots. He goes 12 for 31, 30 points, and they rallied to win. It's just, you always talk about sticking a fork in a team. This team seems to be unforkable. Is that a word? Because every time you think they're done and buried, they come back and win. And they're not just winning with one or two different ways. Like, who saw Josh Hart leading with how many rebounds did he have tonight? I lost track. 15 rebounds, 6 assists. He led the game in points and assists. I'd like to see the tickets out there on Better Day of anybody who had Josh Hart leading Game 1 of the NBA Finals in rebounds and assists. Every day it's somebody different. Scott, I like Mikal Bridges. It was a non-factor tonight.
Nope.
None. Yeah. They still won the game.
Yeah, we gave out Josh Hart over 4.5 assists last night. It was a great night for us up on Better Day. We went 4-1 with our plays. The one loss that we had was Jalen Brunson over 2.5 threes at plus money. Well, Jalen Brunson had the volume, David. He shot 9 3-pointers, but he only made one until a late one there in the fourth quarter. So he finished 2 of 9 from three-point range, 30 points for Jalen Brunson. And you mentioned how the Knicks relied on him too much, and maybe that was going to be to their detriment. Earlier in these playoffs, when the Knicks were in the midst of this run, I had talked about what makes them so dangerous this year is because they can win without relying on Jalen Brunson. Like, they can win those games where Josh Hart goes 5 of 11 from three-point range, or where Karl Anthony Towns goes off, or somebody else contributes. But when it comes down to down 22 in the fourth quarter against the Cavs, you can bring in Superman. He can rip his shirt open in the telephone booth and come out with the cape on and save you. And that's what Jalen Brunson did here in Game 1. And this Game 1 was very reminiscent of that Game 1 against the Cleveland Cavs, where the Knicks came back from 22 down to win. And I'll just say this, I tweeted it out after Game 7. I took a lot of heat on Twitter for it, but I said NBA playoffs teams coming off of a Game 7 win versus a team coming off of a 4-game sweep, 3-14 straight up, 4-13 against the spread in game number 1. Now you can make those numbers 3-15 and 4-14. And yeah, people said, well, the rest matters, right? The Spurs are going to be the first team to have 3 days off after a game 7. Usually those teams only have 1 day off. And I understood that. And that's why I kind of agreed with where your head was at, which was the Spurs in the first quarter, because we know how dominant they've been in the first quarter. But this game, and the reason why I was on the Knicks plus the 4.5 and might have lost some CLV early, but I gained it late, was because I pictured this game just like game 1 of the Cleveland series, where they went down early, but their rest proved to be the factor late in the game. Fatigue definitely set in that third and fourth quarter for the Spurs.
Yeah, and I don't know when you look at, 9 days off, 10 days off, versus 3 days off. At the end of the day, you just need to isolate those points. And if you take the Spurs in the first quarter and you take the Knicks late in the game, you win both. And I think at the end of the day, we can throw every stat we want out there of rest versus rust versus 7-game series versus whatever. The Knicks were the better team tonight. I mean, that's what it comes down to. The Knicks were the better team. And whereas this game was remarkably close for most of the game, the Knicks finished on an 11-0 run. The Spurs had the lead with a couple of minutes to go. The Knicks didn't score for 4 minutes. If you were to tell me the Knicks were going to go, at what moment was it? I'm looking at it right now. The Knicks went from the 5:27 mark to the 2.5-minute mark, from 5.5 to 2.5. 3 minutes late in the game without scoring a point. I'm going to tell you the Knicks are going to lose. Call timeout and go on an 11-0 run.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. You just don't see that. And we don't know if this Knicks team's going to win the whole thing, if they're going to go down as one of the greatest playoff runs of all time, wasted with a loss in the NBA Finals. We don't know how it's going to end. But they're showing the heart of a champion. They're showing that not only can they go from 22 down in game 1 in Cleveland and win, at home, but down 22 points, but they can go into San Antonio, be down 13 in the third quarter.
Yep.
Not score for 4 minutes, and actually didn't even go all the way. They didn't score until 1:57 left in the game. So they went from the 5.5-minute mark to the 1.5-minute mark. The most crucial part of the game, you would call it clutch time. 4 minutes without scoring, and they finish on an 11-0 run. You just don't see that. In fact, the last time I think I saw something like that happen, I was actually there. Game 2, 2012, Mavs Heat, LeBron, Wade, Bosh era. The Heat had a double-digit lead with less than 3 minutes to go. And Dirk and the Mavs went on some insane 14-0 run to end the game. And I'm telling you, Scott, I walked out of that arena, you could hear a pin drop. I'm sure that's what's going on right now in San Antonio.
Well,
when I walked out of Miami that night, there was not one word. And I was sitting in the nosebleeds. It took me a while to get out of there. You just don't go on the road and finish off an 11-0 run to end the game 1 of the NBA Finals. And at that point, you're like, what is it going to take to beat the New York Knicks? If you held them scoreless for 4 minutes in the fourth quarter, you took a 1-point lead, and you didn't score the rest of the game, what will it take? I mean, Wemby threw one off the side of the glass.
Yep.
Somebody else shot an air ball. So is it the inexperience that finally cut off with the San Antonio Spurs? Because Wemby just went into game 7 in Oklahoma City and won in Western Conference Finals, but throws up, in the fourth quarter here versus the Knicks.
Definitely wasn't a pin drop that you can hear, because there were a lot of Knicks fans in attendance last night that were certainly making it loud in the arena. And I brought up on yesterday's pod, another reason why I was on the Knicks in this game and I'm on the Knicks in the series is because of the clutch factor. And you look at Jalen Brunson, who's one of the most clutch players in the NBA. And I gave the numbers in the newsletter yesterday and on the pod yesterday. And he has played almost 120 minutes of clutch minutes this year. And he's a point per minute guy. Like, it's 118 minutes, 116 points in clutch time in the regular season. Now, when they haven't had a lot of clutch time in the playoffs because they've been blowing everybody out, but look at what happened here tonight. He makes the big 3, hits a couple of free throws, right? The big floater that kind of was the dagger. Jalen Brunson's the X factor, and he's going to continue to be for the remainder of this series. Let's talk about where we sit here for game 2, David, as we look on FanDuel right now. The zigzag bounce back is baked in. San Antonio right now, a 5.5-point favorite, lower total of 214.5. And we can talk about the first quarter system. I got the numbers here. NBA playoffs this year. Previous loser in the series that is favored in the next game, like the Spurs are here in game number 2, 21-8-1 on the first quarter money line this season. That same stat going back to the 2021 season, 98 wins, 52 losses, and 5 pushes in the first quarter. Now, I also took a look at something else that kind of also makes me want to bet the Spurs in the first quarter in game number 2. If you lose at home in game number 1 as the favorite, and then you're favored again in game number 2, which most teams are, since the 2021 season, in the first quarter of that game number 2, 19-3-1 straight up. Everything points to the Spurs
I mean,
first
just
quarter money line.
add to the fact that the Spurs are 9-2-2 to the first quarter money line since losing game 1 to the Timberwolves in the second round, and the fact that they're the second highest scoring team in the league in the first quarter. And I wrote that this morning when I gave out the pick in my newsletter and on Sportsline. I said, listen, I'm giving this out independent of the Knicks long layoff and the rust. I'm giving it out because the Spurs are the second best scoring team in the first quarter all season. Now we're talking 100 games in, and they've covered entering game 1. They had covered 8-2-2 for the money line, and they had covered in 8 of those games as well, not just winning it. So all signs points to take in. I'm sure it's going to be juiced a hell of a lot longer than the 140 I got tonight.
Yep.
Maybe it's worth throwing the spread in there, but it's hard to throw the spread in there because the Knicks can go on 10-0 runs.
Yep.
The Knicks were up 10-3 at one point, and I thought my bet was dead. But the Spurs are a first quarter team. Wemby plays 11 minutes in that quarter, and that's what they do. They win the first quarter. Unfortunately, they didn't win the fourth quarter.
I respect the bounce back. I respect the reason why the line is 5.5. I can't not take the Knicks at plus 5.5 now. They were just 4.5 point dogs. They outplayed the Spurs in the third and fourth quarter. They've won 12 straight games in these playoffs. They're playing incredible defense. They showed that they can handle and get around Wemby as much as he, impacts how you're going to play on offense. I get it. Again, I get the bounce back spot. I get the zigzag. I will be on the Spurs in the first quarter, but I'm going to take the Knicks plus 5.5 for the game.
It is really tough to not bet on the New York Knicks. They've won 12 in a row. They've covered in 11 of the 12 games.
Yep.
The only one they didn't cover in was a game 2 of the Cavs series. What will it take to beat the New York Knicks? And I'm still, believe it or not, I'm stunned they're 5.5 point dog. Now I understand the bounce back. The Spurs are in a position where call it what it is. If they don't win, they're done. You cannot go to New York down 2-0. That's just not a recipe to win the NBA Finals. So the Spurs have to win the game. But you're going to make them a 5.5 point favorite? I know why the books are doing it, and I understand why that line is the way it is. But anybody who watched this game, you'd be crazy to lay 5.5 against the New York Knicks. I didn't lay the 4.5 today. Now, did I think the Spurs were going to win? Yes. I took Spurs money line. I took Spurs to win in 6. I took them to win by over 1.5 games. So I think the Spurs are going to win the series. But I purposely, Scott, stayed away from the game 1 line because, I'm not in it to bet against the Knicks. If you watch the Knicks play, regardless of who their opponent is, why are you giving points to New York Knicks? I would never lay the 5.5. I know it's a must-win for the Spurs. A must-win does not mean they're going to win. I absolutely could see the Knicks winning game 2 and going back to New York based on what I watched tonight. Now, should it happen? No. The Spurs should bounce back. It's at home. They know they have to win. And, then you go to New York with a split and you see what you could do there. It's a whole different series. But they just lost game 1 at home when they had a 13-point lead in the second half. This is a team that does not lose the New York Knicks. They don't. I mean, the Spurs have lost. They lost 3 to the Thunder. They lost. They lost to the Timberwolves. They've lost in the first round. The Knicks haven't lost, since the beginning of time at this rate. So I don't think there's any value whatsoever in laying the 5.5 because you're giving 5.5 to the hottest team that we've seen in 20 years.
Just say thank you for the points. Updating the MVP market up on FanDuel, Jalen Brunson, even money to be the NBA Finals MVP. Victor Wembanyama, plus 120. You still think the Spurs win? You have the Spurs winning this series. Can I intrigue you in Wemby plus 120? Now, I can disagree with you. I'm on the Knicks plus 1.5 games because I felt that either the Knicks win this series or they lose in 7 in San Antonio. So I'm not going to go into the awards market now. I did think Karl-Anthony Towns had some value at a larger number. 12-1 now, I don't really know. What do you think about the MVP market?
If the Spurs win, it's going to be Wemby.
Of course. Yeah.
Call it what it is. It's going to be that. And would you say he's plus 120 and Jalen? What's the series right now?
Spurs plus 114, Knicks minus 134.
Right. So you'd be better off taking the MVP market in either case, just like you were this morning. I can tell you that for the first time, and you can quote me, put it on a billboard in Times Square. For the first time on June 3rd, late at night, I think the New York Knicks are going to win the NBA title. If I was betting it today, right now, I would bet the New York Knicks. What I saw tonight was a team that just refuses to lose. They took the Spurs' best punches in the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter, and late in the fourth. I just don't see them. It's now they need 3 wins out of the next 6 games, and you got 3 of them at home. No, they're not going to sweep the Spurs, although you win game 2, you never know. I just don't see this Knicks team now, who hasn't lost in 12 games, losing 3 out of the next 6 games. Now, if it winds up going back to San Antonio for game 7, okay, it's Spurs. But do you see anything tonight that would tell you the Knicks couldn't go in and win game 7? Of course they could.
Absolutely not. To steal a line from Ed O'Neill in Little Giants, I knew you'd see it my way.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Memorial Day sale and get 30% off paints and stains May 15th through the 28th. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
All right, from the NBA Finals to the Stanley Cup Final we go, where the Vegas Golden Knights have a 1-0 lead over the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina in a bounce-back spot tonight at home, up on FanDuel, minus 164 favorites, total of 5.5, minus 132 to the over. Now, David, going into this series, I thought goals were going to be at a premium. I thought this was going to be a very low-scoring series with how Carolina limits the shots and with how physical Vegas is, and both goaltenders playing really, really well. I was shocked to see 9 goals being scored in game number 1. Am I crazy for betting the under tonight, thinking that game 1 was an aberration and I'm getting good value on under 5.5 here?
I would 100% agree with you. I think that this will be an under series. I think game 1, there was a lot of mistakes. Game 1, the way that played, I was doing a column for Prize Picks looking at game 2. The stats don't make any sense. Like, for the Hurricanes, outshot the Knights. They had more possession than the Knights. They had more shots on goal than the Knights. The Knights won the game. I mean, that's just what the Golden Knights have been doing. They had 5 different scorers, none of which were the leading scorer, Mitch Marner. And it was the mistakes that the Carolina Hurricanes make, not being able to clear the zone, not being able to win any power play. They were 0 for 4 on the power play, barely got any shots off, uncharacteristic turnovers. I mean, just look at the very end. They had a point-blank shot to win the game, missed it on the next shift down, didn't clear the puck, and bam, the Golden Knights score the go-ahead goal to win the game. That right there was the entire game in a nutshell. Hurricanes had it, missed it, screwed up on the other end. Vegas took advantage and won. I don't see the rest of this series playing out this way. I still think the Hurricanes are the better team. But just like the Knicks, the Golden Knights are on a run, and they're playing for a different coach, a different type of team, that this is the team you thought you were going to get. Nothing about game 1 made any sense in the world. I even read a column on the NHL's website that said something to the regards of, you look at the box score, you would not think that it was a 5-4 game. All the analytical stats showed that this should have been about a 3-2 game in favor of the Hurricanes. It just, sometimes analytics are analytics, and the game goes, at the end of the day, it's whoever puts the puck in the net the most wins.
Yep.
And it was a hell of a pass and a hell of a shot that won the game. but 2 of the Vegas goals earlier in the game shouldn't have happened. And at the same time, the Hurricanes scored 20 seconds into the game. You don't see that either. So take out the fact that you don't see a goal 20 seconds in. You take out the fact that there are a couple of turnovers that led to goals, uncharacteristically of the Hurricanes, who have been a team that has controlled the puck. This is a team that won 12 out of 13 games. And the only game they lost is because they hadn't played in 2 weeks.
Yep.
I think it's a return to normalcy. You have 2 outstanding goalies. They didn't play their best game. It is what it is. It's game 1 of the Stanley Cup final for both of them. Off their game, defenses are off their game. I think you see more of a 3-2 type game in game 2 for sure.
Yep, I completely agree. Yeah, I think we're going under 5.5, and you get good value now because everyone's thinking about the over that we just saw. This is kind of like my version of a zigzag here, and all the trends do point to Carolina bouncing back in this game, but this series is just too close to call. I said the best bet in game number 1 was laying minus 205 and taking Vegas plus a goal and a half. I don't know if I want to do it again, but the under is the play here, and if I like the under, then maybe I do like the plus a goal and a half as well. So it's going to be fun to watch tonight. But yeah, the under is absolutely the strongest lean and play for me on this game. Before we wrap things up, David, I want to just talk Major League Baseball here for a second and get your thoughts on what we've seen for the last couple of days. I tweeted this out, not including yesterday's results. So going into yesterday, in the last 5 days, Major League Baseball overs were 45, 21, and 3. Going over by over 2 runs per game. That is 68.2% to the over. We have continued the overrun as we had another majority of the games go over yesterday. I texted Steve Fezzik yesterday, and I said, I'm done betting unders in baseball. I said, I'm just... The weather, here's the thing. It would be one thing if it was like, oh, it's hot and all the park factors are saying that the games are going over. My models, the park factor models, the weather is saying no. And the sports books are going off the models too, because on Sunday when I lost a bunch of unders, the games were 7.5. At least yesterday you had games that were 8, 8.5. So a little bit of an adjustment from the sports books. But I don't know if it's just pitcher fatigue right now, if it's the ball, I don't know what's going on. I think I got to stay away from unders for until this regulates.
I do think it's a combination of factors. I mean, it is June, so the weather is warming up, and I can just tell you today here in Connecticut, it was warmer than it's been in the last 2 weeks. That doesn't mean that it's warm everywhere, but it is warmer, and that tends to happen, not to the degree of what you're seeing with the overs. I also think you're 2 months in. At the 2-month break, 2 months in, a couple of things happen. One, you're starting to see rematches. You're starting to see teams see pitchers over again, like the White Sox and Twins are playing for the second time in 3 weeks. You start seeing the same pitchers over and over again, and injuries start catching up with you. More teams are using guys that are called up from the minors because these guys need a break after 2 months and they're getting fatigued. Go on the little arm strain here, an elbow strain here. You are seeing more pitchers pitch from the minors or from the back of the bullpen or long relief than you're used to seeing earlier in the year, where it's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starter. Tends to happen as you get into the dog days of summer. It's probably only going to get worse as we get to June and July. The sports books will adjust, but you're right. 7.5, those are very tough to go under right now. When you look at a board and you see 7-2 and you see 8-0 and 7-1.
It's not even that, David. We're seeing 11-9, 11-3. 8-2. It's not just like it's it's a 4-3 game that becomes a 4-4 game and it ends 5-4 and you got stung there on your under 8.5. No, these games are flying over the totals.
Or you have your Yankees who get faced they put the minimum up through 7 innings and then they scored 13 in the 8th. That was just crazy. You never see something like that before. What was it? They literally had sent the minimum up through 7 innings and then played it 13. Insane.
We have a couple of day games here. Zach Wheeler on the mound for the Phillies, hosting the Padres, and Lucas Giolito. Phillies a little shy of minus 200 favorites, minus 193 with Wheeler on the mound. He's 4-1 since returning from injury. Got the Orioles at the Red Sox, Guardians at the Yankees. Carlos Rodon back on the mound for the Yankees. And you look at the Yankees now, Behrman, and it's Schlittler, Cole, Fried, and Rodon. If you go into the postseason with those four guys, who's beating this Yankees team?
Dodgers. That's it. Just the Dodgers.
Okay. All right.
Which is why I'm mad. Really, really mad at the Colorado Avalanche. Because I had a parlay. A finals parlay.
You had
that was Spurs and Knicks.
Oh,
Check
no.
mark, Spurs and Knicks.
Wow.
I had Avs and Hurricanes.
Wow.
And I had Dodgers and Yankees, and it was 1,000 to 1.
Wow.
And I'm going to hit the other two. 1,000 to 1.
Oh, my goodness.
It was a free bet. It's a free bet.
Yeah.
And it was the President's Trophy Colorado Avalanche absolutely throwing up themselves in the Western Conference Finals.
Wow.
Because I nailed the Spurs and Knicks. Nailed it.
That is incredible. It's an incredible loss, but it's
1,000 to 1.
It's an incredible feat. We've all been there before. Maybe not to that extent, but we've all seen that the legs fall for us on the parlay. David, tell the people what you got cooking up on Betting with Behrman coming up this week.
Absolutely. We had Doug Kazarian on talking NBA Finals yesterday, so that's you can find that on the Believe Podcast Network. We went 3-1 in our NBA picks tonight in Game 1. Didn't hit Mikal Bridges. I guess that little PRA is dead. You can find it at bearmanbets.com. We'll have another newsletter on Friday where I will have the Super Regionals in college baseball covered head to toe. Today's newsletter had a brief preview of all 8 series, as well as a couple of futures that I like heading into the Sweet 16 of college baseball after my alma mater, University of Florida, decided that pitching was not necessary and they're a home regional. I had them at a nice 35 to 1 price that I threw out the door, but I still have Oregon at 60 to 1, who's now 30 to 1. So very good value there. But an entire breakdown of the supers, including my Game 1 picks, will be there on Friday morning, bearmanbets.com, or go to @DavidBehrman. Get me there and go on Twitter and find all my stuff.
Absolutely. We'll have links in our newsletter as well. For David Behrman, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.